broadcasting live out of a basement in Appleton, Wisconsin. You're tuned into Fox Cities Core on WCZR Code Zero Radio. We're the show that gives you an opportunity to call in and be a part of the show. Our call-in line is 920-358-0795. Core. My next guests are a band from Green Bay, Wisconsin. They play original, guitar-driven funk, rock, and reggae. Their latest album is called Bring the Light. It was released earlier this year. I'd like to welcome Luma Knotty to Fox Cities Core on Code Zero Radio. How are you guys doing?
Doing great, man. Thanks for
having
us.
Thanks for coming in. And you guys are fresh off of Electric City Experience.
Yes.
Quite the experience.
Our best set ever.
Well, we'll talk about that and Farmapalooza and just the latest album and all of that. But as we normally do during the show, can we just kind of go down the line and introduce your name and what you do in the band?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Aaron. I'm the bass player here at Luma Knotty Inc.
My name is Ryan, and I am the guitar player at Luma Knotty.
My name's Hayden. I play drums.
My name is Luis. I play the keys, and I try to get drinks every time.
Good beer maiden.
So Luma Knotty has quite this live schedule this year. I mean, how do you keep up with these shows? How do you get buy-in from all the members to agree to do all of these shows? I mean, it's a pretty big commitment to have a schedule like you guys have this year.
By the seat of our pants is how we do it.
I have some incriminating photographs that I pull out every time
He blackmails us into it.
I coerce them to play these shows. No, we've kind of all been on the same page for a long time now. Like this is actually, believe it or not, year 6 of Luma Knotty. So we kind of got the swing of things at this point.
We also do have a lot of good help behind the scenes. Ross's wife helps a lot with booking and communications, which lets us just kind of focus on the music side of things, which is huge help.
100%, yeah.
Do any of you have any kids, wives?
I have one wife. I have one wife and 2 children. I have a 13-year-old boy. His name is Kingston, and he's going to be 4 this coming week. His name is Apollo.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I have a wife named Brooke. She's pretty cool.
You recently married, right, Hayden?
Yeah. Just actually July 8th will be my 1-year anniversary. So super stoked on that.
Congrats.
And actually I'm playing a gig that day. So
Double celebration.
Yeah, she lets me play on my anniversary, so she's a good one. But yeah, it's been awesome. Married life is cool. I don't know why people are so scared of it.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else have?
I have 2 kids.
2 kids.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm single right now.
Ladies.
Fresh off of college.
So it sounds like Hayden, your wife is cool with it. Everybody, your families are supportive, your kids are into what you do.
Absolutely.
It's great.
Yeah, that's kind of crucial. My wife's family are pretty much all musicians too, so it helps when she's kind of, gotten used to how the drill works,
Get the lifestyle. But yeah, Brooke packs up all my stuff at the end of the night, so that's cool.
I think that's probably more because she wants you to go home.
I don't care, it happens.
Drums too, that's not like an easy...
Yeah, no,
it's done.
And I don't let many people, because it's got to be put away right so it comes out right the next time, but she's got it down. We're done playing, she's wrapping cables, throwing stuff in cases.
Does she play an instrument herself?
No, she's always loved the whole music scene and being in venues and stuff like that, so as soon as she started coming along to shows with us, it was she'd do a little bit here and there, and before she knows it, she just takes the reins. It's like, I'm doing this. You go grab a beer. I'll have this done for you. But yeah, she loves it, all about it.
That sounds cool. Amazing.
Yeah, she is. She's cool.
So Hayden, Ryan, you guys met. That's kind of the...
We have met before, yeah.
Well, when you guys met, from what I've read, Ryan, you were working at Guitar Center, and Hayden, you were in there beating on stuff.
Yeah, just annoying the crap out of them all the time.
I was working in the drum department at the time, so...
Ooh. And I didn't have a drum set at home, so I hung out in the drum department at Guitar Center a lot.
To practice 2 hours, 3 hours? Or?
There were some days I would be there a good 4 or 5 hours at a time. But yeah, we'd just come in, me and the buddies, come in, play instruments, dick around, do whatever, and eventually we just kept running into him, and then had separated for like 6 years. I didn't see him, and randomly, as I'm walking into Los Bandidos one day, he's walking out, and it's like, what the heck, dude, what's going on? And kind of just reconnected from there, and
Tacos brought us together.
yeah.
And so, Ryan, you were in different projects, including Unity, among others. And
Yeah.
at what point did you decide, well, I'm going to start my own project? And what was the reasoning behind that?
Well, yeah, after Unity, I played in another band called Focus, and Focus was doing pretty well, and we had a lot of good shows. Like, we got to go to Mexico and play in Mexico. We did Seattle Hemp Fest, so we got a lot of really cool experiences out of it. But at a certain point in time, I was collecting a lot of material that I had written, I guess, that I really didn't get to perform. And I just kind of wanted to start something that I had complete control of so that I can, fully realize my vision. And I kind of started Luma as a side project. So this was my side gig, so that I could do all the stuff that I didn't get to do with Focus. And eventually it started going so well, I was like, well, I kind of want Luma to be my
was your side
main
chick
thing.
for months then? Is that what you're saying?
Luma was
Sometimes the
I just
mistress
realized
prevails, man. Sometimes we win.
Well, so then you decided to kind of give the majority of your time to Luma Knotty.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Hayden was Hayden the first one on board then?
Technically, I played percussion.
Oh, that's
at the
right.
time. Yeah, because it's they had kind of already started getting together. They were rehearsing and stuff like that. And then we went to go see Natty Nation one night, and they had a percussion player who was just killing it. Like, he was the whole vibe of the show. And I was talking to his wife, Sarah, and I was like, that looks like fun. I need to do something like that. And all of a sudden, like, wheels started turning. About a week later, they were like, so remember when you said you'd play percussion? And kind of jumped in on that, and it was not even a year later, I think. And the drummer at the time had parted ways, and Ross was like, promote from within, and moved me over. And
well, I knew Hayden was a good drummer anyway, and it just felt like the natural progression of things. I probably would have asked him, like, if we didn't already have a drummer in place at the time, So I wanted to kind of create a position with him or for him and get him involved, So
And I am a much better drummer than percussionist. It's a lot of fake it till you make it in
He
that
was
situation.
forced into it.
yes.
Well, so you had a percussionist before. Now it's just Hayden playing drums. Is there anybody that does percussion during the shows now?
Not now. We'd love to have one, come step in a little bit.
Well, at the beginning, we kind of had, we were just trying to figure ourselves out and like what kind of lineup things that we wanted to have in the band. We didn't have a keyboard player at first either, which ended up being one of the biggest changes and best additions in my
Huge
opinion.
door open.
So we kind of grew and changed a lot from the beginning of where we were and how we started and what we kind of evolved into. So
I know Lewis was playing in a lot of like church bands and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like how did your path cross with I should ask how your path crossed with Ryan.
The bass player they had, the second bass player, invited me because we've been friends for a long time, and he told me about the band, and I'm like, I wasn't playing at the time. I stopped playing for a couple of years, like not playing at all, and he invited me over, and like, yeah, sure. So next day we had a little rehearsal, and then the day after we had the first gig.
Yeah. It was literally for like
Pretty fast.
an hour and a half, 2 hour rehearsal. He comes in kind of like, yep, I got the gist of it, shows up, kills it at the next
I
gig.
still
and we
have
just
the video. It is painful to watch.
killed it though, man. I mean, it's for knowing
yeah.
us for 2 hours, did pretty good.
That's how we started. That's how I got started with them.
Well, and that was a different style than what you were used to playing in the church bands.
Completely, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And at the time, that's when Hayden was the percussionist.
Yeah, so I was on percussion.
Yeah.
He had started doing keys, and
I mean, was it a genre of music that you liked before? Or was it
Oh
just,
yeah, but reggae's been in my back burner for years because I had the chance to actually explore it and actually dig into it. But I love it, and now I'm way more comfortable playing this type of stuff than before. Yeah, definitely.
And then Aaron eventually comes into the fold.
Yes.
I know Luma Knotty went through a bunch of different bass players, and then eventually they find you, and you're like you mentioned, fresh out of college. How did they find you?
So I just graduated from Lawrence University last week actually. Got my degree in double bass performance with a jazz emphasis, and how I kind of met Ryan and Hayden and Luis over here. I was looking for a place to practice in the Green Bay area because I had a show, like 2 shows in one day, and I needed some place to practice bass. So I went to the Hyde Music at Green Bay, and without even really knowing it, I asked the person at the counter, who just at the time happened to be Ryan, where the bass loud room is, and he's like, yeah, it's over there. I was like, cool, sweet. And then I went over to the bass loud room and, just started practicing, and then I saw their poster on the wall. They were looking for a bass player. Email us at luminati@gmail.com. And I was like, cool, sweet. I always am looking for more work now, and I've heard a lot of good things about this group and how dedicated they are to the craft of performance. And so I just kind of emailed them and emailed a few clips. I had like some jazz fusion stuff that I do on the side. I sent those demos in, and they were like, cool, let's schedule a rehearsal. You can come in. And yeah, that's kind of how I joined the group.
This might make you uncomfortable, but I'll do it anyways. So the rest of you guys, when Aaron sent these videos, did you guys watch them as a band and kind of decide together if you were going to give him a shot, or was it something Ryan just saw?
See, the funny thing is, while he was practicing, Ryan was on the other side of the door with a cup anyway, so he already knew what it was
not
about.
Far off. In case you haven't noticed a pattern here, I work at music stores just so that I can poach musicians.
So grooming musicians.
He's sucks people.
But yeah, I had that poster on the wall, and like, we don't really get a whole lot of bass players that come into Hyde Music in Green Bay, so anytime I would see anybody pick up a bass, I'd just casually stroll over to the door and just like kind of gently listen without being too big of a creep, I guess.
As hard as it is.
Well, that's a big thing too, to all of a sudden, have a new member in the band. And Luis and Hayden, you guys were totally clicking right away with Aaron.
Yeah, it from the first rehearsal, because usually when we get down there, Ross is kind of setting stuff up, getting everything dialed in, and me and Luis just ignore all that and sit right at our instruments and start messing around. And so it was kind of just like the 3 of us bopping around while Ross was getting ready, and it was almost right off the bat, just kind of started jamming, and chemistry was there. It was very natural. And then once he got his stuff done and picked up, it hit the ground running. We were right at it. So it was a lot of fun. It's been a blast playing with him. He picked up quick. It was very almost seamless.
Yeah, I trust Rasta when he said that someone is a good musician. So I trust him on that.
If he's willing to play with them, I'm definitely going to be okay with it.
So Ryan, you've been working at multiple music stores. How big of a headache is it when somebody comes in and just picks up an instrument and starts wailing on it for endless hours?
It got me a job. So.
There's a big difference between like Guitar Center vibe and Hyde Music vibe. Hyde Music is definitely a lot more chill, and you don't really get like the swaths of like teenagers rolling in and just all playing Stairway to Heaven and Sweet Child of Mine and
their girlfriends standing
the
like
drum department.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like Guitar Center was pretty wild at the time, and so that was definitely a headache. But Hyde Music just kind of feels like adults work there, and everything's a little bit more chill, so it's usually not too bad. But yeah, there are pros and cons to pretty much everything. But I definitely like it. It kind of keeps me involved in music when I have to, punch in a day job, so.
And they're usually super understanding about musicians' schedules, which always helps.
Yes, that is huge. Because
we're gonna shut this down at 6. We got stuff to do.
I'm probably not the easiest employee to have during the summer because if we're playing like sometimes 3-4 times a week, and I'm like,
It's like, hey, can I get off for July?
It's probably a good networking spot too.
Yeah,
obviously.
definitely. Yeah, like you meet a lot of other musicians. It's kind of how I have made a lot of connections in the Fox Valley and Green Bay and all that. So,
well, we didn't really talk about what kind of got you interested in music, but Ryan, I know you were from a musical family, and your dad was in a family band. You're into Elvis, which I can relate to.
I was a huge Elvis fan when I was younger.
I mean, that was Elvis like the first musician that you really kind of grew a liking to? Was it the image, the music, a little bit of both?
I think a little bit of both. Like it was the whole like package, and it was just like, of course, like growing up, I wanted to be like my dad, and like he would bring me around to shows and stuff like that. But I just remember like playing old Elvis records and dancing around and trying to be like him, and I wanted to be like Elvis so much that I wanted my mom to give me the famous pompadour, because my mom was a hairstylist, right? So I'm like, Mom, I really
dreads, like a dread.
I want my hair to be like Elvis. And she's like trying to talk me out of it. I don't know. Like, and she's like, your hair is so thin. I don't think that you could pull off a pompadour. What you need to do, you need to let me perm your hair. So she gives me this like tight Jerry curl perm that looked nothing like Elvis whatsoever, and I was like pretty much devastated, because I had every time I was like feeling like
Looked more like Rick James.
like I was I'm like trying to be Elvis as a kid, you know, and I walk into the bathroom and I see the mirror and I'm just like instantly disappointed, because I was like, this is not what Elvis.
This is Rick James.
It was more like Soul Glow, you know.
So your dad was in the family band. Was he playing guitar, or was he doing a different?
He was, yeah, he played guitar and he sang, but he was originally a drummer, so he played drums for the band and sang for a while. But then my cousin Terry came along and he started playing drums, so my dad kind of stepped out into the front. So he was playing guitar and singing, and my aunt played bass. My grandma was on keys. My uncle was the lead guitar player. So like, it just like, it seemed like such a fun thing to do. Like, and it was like a family experience. So like, growing up and going to shows and watching them play, like it was just inspiring for me, and I wanted to play music right away.
Well, you mentioned you started playing drums at age 5, which is pretty young, and then guitar a couple years later. Were you taking lessons? Were you pursuing it seriously, or just kind of dilly-dallying a little bit?
I think the whole like 5 to 10 range, like I was just kind of, I didn't have any lessons, and like my dad would just pretty much leave his gear laying around, and I would play his drums. They had a drum set up that I would play. So it didn't really start clicking until I was about 10, and then things started coming a lot easier. And then eventually, like, I just kind of took over guitar. Like, I was doing pretty well at drums, and in fact, all through school, I was in the percussion, whatever you
Ensemble,
call it.
yeah.
You know, so
Band
like,
class.
I was playing drums like primarily, and then like right around 15, I was like, you know, I'm getting pretty good at this guitar thing. I think I want to focus on that full time. So I haven't really played drums since, but like I still kind of fire up a kit like when I'm recording or whatever, and like just to know I still got it, you know.
Nice.
Stay fresh.
It is refreshing too, like if we're checking levels or whatever, and I want to go hear what my drums sound like, to have somebody who actually knows how to play drums, because it's when you after your sound check, it's like, go hear what your drums sound like, and somebody goes up there and is like, it's like, that's not what they sound like, but he actually does pretty good. So,
Oh, Ryan, you went to school for guitar, didn't you? In can't even say it, Minneapolis. There we go.
Minneapolis, yeah. I went to McNally and Smith College of Music, but at the time, it was just called Music Tech. So, like, I was kind of in the early stages of their
Program,
yes.
It's early.
Yes, it is early.
Is that a path you'd recommend to people that are interested in pursuing music? And I'm sure Aaron can answer that too. I mean, you're kind of, is that something you think a musician needs, is a musical education background? And
It helps. The school that I went to was more of like a performance-based school. It was kind of like Musicians Institute in California, where you go and all the teachers are basically touring musicians. And it was huge for me because like it got me out of Wisconsin and in a bigger city, and really opened a lot of doors for me and taught me a lot about the business that I had never known before. So, and I got a lot of cool experiences out of it. I got to go to Paisley Park while Prince was playing like several times. Just like they have an incredible music scene over there. So I got to do a lot of cool stuff there. Like, so it really kind of opens the door for, you know, getting into the industry and like learning about it from the inside out. So it's kind of hard to really visualize all those different things that go into like any given production. And, you know, there's just like a lot of wheels in motion that need to be greased, I guess.
Aaron, I mean, what are your thoughts? You're fresh out.
Well, I think that my time in music school and in the conservatory, I think that it gave me a lot of really good methods of how to practice and how to improve my own playing, which is kind of like one of my primary goals, is just to keep on getting better and better as a performer. But at the same time, like, if you think that you can kind of just go your own route. I mean, music college is expensive. It's another expense on top of already trying to like pay and make your way to the rest of the world. So I don't know. I think that it helped me out, but I don't think it's like a necessary factor by any means to be a successful performer. I mean, especially in the jazz world, there are plenty of examples of people that never went to school that are still successful today.
Is there a certain amount of time you feel a musician should practice every week?
I think that, well, when I was in college, I was going about 5 hours every day, 2 hours on electric basses, 3 hours on double bass. I don't really have that amount of time now. It's been like maybe a week since I've like fully practiced that amount of time, and I'm really feeling it. I really want to get back to the shed, but it's like not all that possible with like given, you know, playing shows and trying to keep up with other expenses that I'm now trying to deal with like after college. So I think it's whatever amount of time that you're given, just kind of work with it and do your best and just focus during those hours that you have. And I think as long as you're playing and as long as you're feeling the progression like on yourself and you feel like you're getting better, like that's all that you can really do, kind of.
Yeah, I guess that comes down to personal like preference, but yeah, that's a pretty big commitment, especially financially. It's but if it's something you know you want to do
Absolutely.
Yeah,
you know,
Absolutely.
And Hayden, Luis, you guys have any formal education lessons?
Music.
No, we're dumb.
No. I started as a bass player in Mexico, and I always wanted to be a bass player, but every church and place I go, they already had 2-3 bass players, so and no keyboard players. So I started like just playing with it, and I took off from there. Yeah.
Hayden,
But I never went to school for this.
I don't remember what your background was, Hayden.
I just like drums a lot. That's about it. Never did any school. I did like high school band, but that's about it. Other than that, pretty self-taught.
Aaron, I just want to, before I forget, you brought a kind of a carry-in today, some kind of powder substance. What was that?
Yeah,
Always got that thing on him.
I guess interesting fact about me is I can't really drink regular coffee. So if I know that some place doesn't either have hot cocoa or a cappuccino machine or anything like that, I bring my own hot chocolate to kind of stir into my coffee. I got it from my dad, actually, my
Smart man.
who got it from his time in tech school. Like father, like son, chip off the old block type situation.
I've never seen that before, but that makes it kind of like a cappuccino, doesn't it?
Mocha, kind of.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say.
It's like make your own mocha type of
It's a
deal.
condom in the wallet. But it's a,
And Hayden's drinking the Death Water. You guys are talking about
Liquid Death,
sponsorships.
man. I love this stuff. I don't know what it is, but
Liquid Death, yeah.
I love the name. Rest
so
in
Liquid
Peach.
Death. Give me free stuff. I play drums. Let's make it work.
So are you guys sponsored by anywhere? And
No, not currently. I'd love to be.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't like free and cheap stuff? But I think we're kind of trying to jump more onto like the online content and stuff. We're trying to put videos out, stuff like that, just to give us more of a presence. Because a lot of people, I mean, like he said, we've been together for 6 years, and there are people who come out to shows and are like, "I've never heard of you guys." It's like, we're here all the time. So kind of try to branch out a little bit with that more, which once that happens, I feel it kind of helps with sponsorships and deals and stuff like that. That's where they want it.
we just got to keep playing busy summer schedules, and
Yeah.
hopefully at some point. And we are pretty like selective about the gear that we use too. So like, I would like at some point to maybe get some sort of sponsorship from like at least a stick company
Yeah,
or like a
that'd be cool.
guitar picks. Like those things are like, I'm burning through guitar picks like crazy. Strings,
Yeah,
all the consumable stuff, you know.
exactly.
So
Sticks.
you guys have a studio, right? I think that's a studio that you started called the Luma Lab.
The Luma Lab, yeah.
What made you decide? I mean, did you have a background? Was it from school that you knew how to kind of set this stuff up?
Well, kind of, like, because there was a recording department at my school, so we got to spend some time. I didn't really take any recording classes, but they were always looking for people to record, so I got to go in there quite a bit and see how things were done. And our former bass player, he had a studio that he had built as well. So it kind of got the gears turning, like seeing that, oh, hey, like people can just like build something. And
Use it there.
I got sick of having all this material and not being able to record it because I don't have $1,000 to just go spend on some random recording studio somewhere. So my wife and I were lucky enough to get a house, and the basement was pretty much completely empty, bare bones, and I'm like, let's build a studio. So we did all the framing, we did all the drywall, the plaster, the lighting, just to create a space where we can create whatever we want, whether it's music, art. Like we like to like bring the artistic side to the stage for what we do as well, you know. So like we like things to look cool, we like to set a vibe, so we just wanted to have that space for us where we can do that and constantly work on our music, you know.
Well, Luma Knotty, you mentioned lots of bright colors, and
Yeah.
it's the studio looks phenomenal. If people check out Luma Knotty's Facebook page or your website, you've got pictures of the Luma Lab on there, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, like I'm really blessed to have been able to, you know, create something like that, and I had obviously some help with the boys, you know, so I'm super grateful.
It's a good asset to have.
Does having your own studio allow you to be more creative as far as spending the time you need to kind of work on a song, flesh it out, instead of going into a place you're paying by the hour of the day?
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and it's just like we start with stuff like a lot of times like it's rehearsals when we're practicing for shows, and like I'll step away and I'll go to the bathroom for a minute, and then I come back and they're already jamming on something, and I'm like, what is that? What are you playing? Like, I don't know. It's just
Then it's nice because he can just go hit record and then it's going right there. So then we've got a
Yep, and then they leave, and then I go back to it, and then I start, you know, cutting stuff up, and then I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. I can move this over here, and blah 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 blah. Then I start writing vocals to it, but just even as a tool, like a practice tool, like when I'm practicing, I'm able to actually listen to what I sound like and like what works and what doesn't, what I need to change. It's just been a huge tool for helping me grow as a musician in general, you know.
It's even cool because he can take and take our wave files and drop stuff out to send to us for like practice tracks. So when we're sitting at home, he can drop all the drums out of a song and send it to me, and then I can play without drums there and kind of fill in or write new parts or be creative however I want. So it does open a lot of doors. It's nice to have.
It has helped a lot that we have a space where we can just chill and, you know, set the vibe and start creating from there.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's nice to be somewhere you're comfortable. You know, it's not walking into somebody else's studio and reacclimating every time you're trying to play, and it's just consistent. It's very cool.
So Luma Knotty technically formed in 2017. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's accurate. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
First EP was Sounds of Earth, which was released in 2020.
Yeah.
Unless you had something out before that. I don't know if you released any singles prior to that.
We kind of like made a demo, that first demo that we made, and
Oh, we do songs, yeah.
yeah, just a couple songs. Like I think Give In was on that first demo, and I can't remember what else, but we didn't really officially release that. We kind of just used it for like booking shows and promos and things like that. But Sounds of Earth was like we didn't even have the lab done at that point. Like, we
in
just
the process of building it.
everything was being built, and we basically had to set up in our living room upstairs. And that's kind of when we first moved into that house too, and the neighbors didn't know what to think of us, because like here we are upstairs in the living room, and we've got the full PA set up, and like we kind of tried to record it like a live performance, you know. So we had the subs and the full PA, and
his living room's kind of like a sunroom deal, so there's like big windows on every side, so people looking over just see like a full band set up in this guy's living room. It's like, what is
lights on everything, even lights on
the middle of
color lights, and that was nice.
So the neighbor would come talk to me, and she'd be like, "What is going on in there? I'm like, why is it so loud? Like, I thought it was gonna have to get nasty." And I was like, "No, like this is temporary. We're just recording an album."
Nasty.
Yeah, temporary. She's cool now, so.
Okay. Well, that EP had like, was it 8 or 9 songs on it? It was
7.
7. I mean, you were really close to being the full length on that.
Yeah, it was pushing the boundaries, you know. So like we probably still could have put a couple more on there, but
And if you're going by length, I mean the songs are a little longer than even some standard. If you're going like 2.5 minute songs,
right. Yeah. I don't like short songs.
So when you're writing for the songs on that EP, this was your first band that you were kind of heading.
Yes.
So the writing process obviously was different than prior projects like Unity, where you've got Peta kind of.
Well, yeah, and like I never really had help with writing before, like with Focus. Like I would write my stuff, and Trackmaster T would write his stuff, and we would bring them together and play each other's songs, but we never really did any co-writing. And this is kind of the first project where, you know, it's really nice because like Luis will give me some ideas or some chord changes or whatever, and we'll start playing over it, and then I'll just kind of take it and start building on top of that, and having input from multiple different people, like just kind of, it helps me think of things I never would have thought of before, you know. So like the music really goes different places, and there's a lot more diversity, I guess, in the stuff that we play because of it. So
I think that's nice. We all come from such different backgrounds too. It really helps and even having the studio at our disposal, like while we're sitting there and recording, we have the time to go like, hey, it sounds cool like this, but let's try this, or try a couple different things, and then we'll pick which one we like best. And you know, if we want to spend a full day just going through and finding different drum parts or different guitar parts or whatever solo sections we want to do, we really just have the time to fine tune all of that and mess around with it, have a little fun. It's very cool.
Well, on the first EP, you had a gentleman named Chris do the bass on that, and I don't know if you want to touch on that.
Yeah, Christopher Ray Hunnicutt.
Words are hard, man.
I know. I haven't eaten yet today, but Christopher was like probably the biggest influence in blessing that Luma Knotty had come our way. Like we were looking for a bass player again. We've been collecting bass players like Pokemon.
Catch them all.
So like I was fortunate enough to meet Christopher. I think I found him like he was doing a jam at Frets and Friends or something like that.
I saw like a video online somebody
posted. And I saw the video and I was like, damn, this guy can play. Like he was one of the best bass players I've ever gotten to play with. And unfortunately he passed away. Like he passed away shortly after we recorded that first EP. So that was kind of part of why the EP ended up being the length that it was, because we recorded all those 7 songs in like 2 days, like basically like a live session, and he had gotten sick right after that, you know, so we couldn't really bring him in to do overdubs, and like it was really important to us to just be able to complete a project with him. Like we wanted him on a record, because it just meant a lot to us to be able to at least even bring it to him and show it to him.
We listened to it together in his room while he was sick. So
yeah, and it was a bummer because it was right at the start of all that COVID stuff too. So when he was sick, like nobody could visit him in the hospital. Like his family was quarantined in there with him, and it was just kind of a really tough time for Luma and pretty much everybody that knew Christopher. So
Yeah.
And when that tragedy strikes, or I mean, was there talk about maybe like disbanding at that point?
No, I don't think we ever like talked about disbanding. Like we knew, like Christopher knew, like I remember him saying after we recorded some of those parts, and he's like, "Yeah, good luck to whoever the next guy is."
And that was really the only thing that we did ever like discuss or worry about is anybody we wanted to work with further. We wanted to at least be able to honor his parts and like be able to
keep it
Yeah.
And that's a tall order, even just like a
Yeah.
simplified
Oh,
version
absolutely.
of what he does
Aaron's
is
been
like,
doing great at.
yeah, that's why we were so blessed to find Aaron, because like I feel like he's got the skill set where he can actually like, you know, in some ways kind of mimic what he does, but at the same time he adds his own flavor to it too. But like we still feel like we're still honoring Christopher by like, you know, playing those parts as close as possible, you know.
Every single player that has listened to the first EP, they go like, "Wow, those are big shoes to fill." Yeah, it is.
Some of the stuff is just laughable. Like it's like you're just listening to it and you're like, I don't know.
Not human.
No.
It's not human.
He
It's crazy.
was not human, but yeah, we missed the crap out of that guy for sure.
And then the second album is a full-length album that came out in January of this year, and that was recorded in the Luma Lab.
Yep, the fully completed Luma Lab was our first full-length album.
And pretty amazing. It was recorded, mixed, and mastered in the lab.
Yeah.
Which,
100% start
That's-
to finish.
how was the writing process for this album different from the E EP?
Well, this time we got to actually just we took most of the winter off to focus on recording. So for us, it's just always been hard when you're playing shows, and a lot of the gear that we use to record with is also the same gear we use live. So to play every week and have to set up and tear down and set up and tear down and try to be writing during that time is almost impossible. So we had to take a few months off, and so we focused first on like tracking. We picked songs that we wanted to dust off from our past, and also new stuff that we were working on. So this was kind of a combination of both those things. Like, so there's some new fresh material on there, and there's some stuff that we kind of reimagined that we were playing before. But yeah, like doing the tracking, and sometimes like redoing the arrangements, you know, because we'd record it, and then like after spending a little time with it, we're like, well, I think we should, you know, try doing this with the drums. Like, and it's being able to retrack the drums 3 different times because like you change your mind with stuff is kind of like a plus for having a studio too. Yeah. But and then once we got done with the tracking, then like we were able to, you know, spend time in post-production and do edits and
and all the cool effects and
all the
little
mixing,
samples and clips. And
yeah, so it was a lot of fun, and it was kind of a big task because it was a big album. It was 14 songs, but we completed it, and we had a guest bass player come in on the album as well.
Sneaky.
Incredible.
Because we didn't have a bass player throughout that whole recording process. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to let not having a bass player stop us from recording this album. So I assumed an alter ego. We named him Keanu Naki. And so, like, I played all the bass parts on the album, and I even did a guest appearance on
Bring the Light.
on our Bring the Light video. So
pretty great.
So I tried to be as in disguise as I could, but
Did people catch on to that when you released the Bring the Light video? Were people reaching out and saying, "Hey, is that you?" Or did it go over people's heads?
I
They
think
didn't
a lot of people didn't notice.
It was like one of those where like they knew but they didn't know. They're like, something's different, but I can't quite put my finger on it.
Yeah, when I first like started rehearsing with them and I saw like the album back, I was like, "Who's Keanu Naki?"
Yeah, it's like, who's this guy? When do I meet him?
Sounds
He
pretty
got
good.
fired, by the way.
Aaron pushed him out.
Yeah.
Yep.
I could never do that.
Well, you guys had Nick Rodello, I think, too. played
Yeah,
bass.
And
for-
Nick was with us for a while.
Yeah, he was with us for about a year and a half, and he did an amazing job when he was with us. Like, so we were fortunate to have him in the Luma lineup for a while. So
He's got some cool stuff going on too. He's running a bunch of open mics all over the place. Busy little bee.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you guys are all set to, I mean, go full force this summer. Now you've got a lineup that you can run with, which
Hoping so, yeah.
yeah, that was a big thing because for a while, like last summer at least, we didn't really have a full-time bass player either. So I was, writing set lists every week and then getting them to. We pretty much had a different bass player almost every week. So I had to get everybody up to speed. I had to write charts. And it kind of was limiting to what we could and could not play because we'd spend time in the studio working on all these details and all these, tricky runs and things like that we played together. But then when you're bringing new people in every week who've never rehearsed this stuff, it's more about just getting the fundamentals down.
We have a lot of songs, covers and originals that require specific bass lines. Otherwise, it doesn't sound right. So that's the part that is difficult when you're switching bass players every week, every 2 weeks. So get them up to speed and like Rasta writes like those cheat sheets.
They're not like full on charts, but they're definitely helpful to somebody who's just coming in, and it's a lot to remember. Like,
Yeah, we'll play 3-4 hour sets sometimes. So I mean, if you've got 2 weeks to learn 4 hours worth of music and not screw up, like it's tough for anybody. But
So what was the hardest part recording that last album? I mean, was the mixing the difficult part? Was it the mastering? Was
not
it actually
putting 37 songs on it.
I mean, we had to put new songs out of that
Yeah, we had
album
to
because
push stuff off for the next one.
you guys have enough for another?
we have enough.
Oh, we
for
could
two
probably
more.
do 2 of them.
2 more.
Yeah.
right. So we've
just
already
need
started
time.
working and tracking like new stuff for the new album. We want to put another one out this winter. But definitely the hardest thing is when you don't have to pay for time.
For rehearsal time or recording time or editing time,
You
mixing time.
tinker.
Having a deadline,
Call it tinker
like,
time.
yes, like you have a tendency to be a little bit more meticulous and like really dissect stuff a little bit further than you probably would if you were going into some place and paying for it, So like I think that's the biggest challenge is trying to have that attention to detail, but at the same time being able to wrap it up and like, cause like I think every musician can agree with the fact that nobody's ever really 100% satisfied
It's never done.
with anything they do. So like every time you open up the DAW, like there's always something you're going to find that could be different, could be better, could be changed. And you got to kind of like draw a line, like where am I going to stop? Am I comfortable with this? Like, is it something I feel good about releasing to people, even though I feel like it's not perfect? But we're not really striving for perfection. Like we're very hard on ourselves, I guess, but where do you draw that line? Where do you stop? Where, like, you could go on forever. Like we could have worked on this album probably for another 2 years if we wanted to, so.
Did you roll it out on a big CD release show?
Well, we tried.
'Cause, I mean, January you're kind of playing with the rolling the dice on the weather and
Yeah.
Yeah, we wanted to do a big album release party. We were supposed to play at this place called Rockabilly's, and they had some last minute renovations that they had to do, and they thought it was going to be done for the show, and it wasn't. So like, they had to cancel our show, and then we moved it to another venue, like they were really nice and accommodating to us, but it just didn't feel like how it was supposed to. Nothing really went how it was supposed to go. So then we tried another couple different times to have an album release party, but it just kept getting pushed back with different things, and so we were trying Rockabilly's again in April, and they still weren't open. So then we Cold Shop in Appleton was kind enough to let us set up last minute. Like I called them the week of the show, and I'm like, please let us come in. We just want to play. So it was nice, but we didn't really have enough time to promote it and get as many people there as we wanted. And then we did another one at Little Jamaica in Green Bay, and that one went pretty well. So
Eventually we got it.
We got it. I think everybody knows the album is out now, so like
Since we're talking about shows, Electric City was last week, and you guys got rained out.
Yeah.
that was a bummer
Just
too.
barely, too. It was just enough to
I mean, it's
not let it happen.
got to really be a sinking feeling to have all your stuff in a car or even pulled out, and all of a sudden you're
Well, what was
packing
nice
it back
about
up.
that, though, is at least they did production, so we didn't have, like, the full subs and trailer loaded and everything. But, yeah, you pull everything out, start getting set up, and then you feel a drop, and it's like, well, let's wait 5 minutes and see what happens. And then that turns to 20 minutes, and then it's like, well...
We had the
might as well
only
just start
stage
backing up.
that didn't have a tent above it, so that was kind of a bummer. But we were really looking forward to Electric City. That was one of our
It's one of our favorites.
favorite places to play. We've played there a number of years, and Jason, the guy who puts it on, was really cool about it. And
They always treat us good.
yeah, they treat us good. So like we don't really have any complaints. We were kind of bummed we didn't get to play. So
Just the weather.
especially.
Especially,
Because I had all my gear. I made this like elaborate wagon setup where it was like a
Very
train.
elaborate.
Like I had
It was really cool, actually.
dolly attached to a wagon, and I had it all strapped together, and then I had this massive pile of gear, and I was kind of toting it around like the whole street back and forth, because like they're like, bring your gear over here, let's get ready to set up in case it rains. So I haul it all over there, and they're like, okay, well, I guess we're not going to play. Like, why don't you haul it into this venue that you might play at? So I hauled it all into the venue, and like then we came to the decision that it was just going to be too hard to get people over there when nobody knew it was happening.
Yeah.
So then I had to haul it all back to my car, and it was just like
It was,
feeling
it
of
was like the
defeat.
trolley coming down the street.
did you guys get to check out other bands at least?
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Definitely.
we spent a good portion of the day down there. It's just a fun time every year.
That's the downside about when you're playing a lot of shows, is you don't get to see a lot of shows. So like these bigger festival gigs where there's a lot of bands playing, it's finally a chance for us to see other acts, get some inspiration from other places, and kind of network with like our peers and stuff like that.
Can't wait for Milo Music, though. That's a really, really fun show, too.
Yeah, are you guys playing Mile Music?
We are. We've been kind of sitting on that one for a while, because like we weren't really supposed to say to a certain point like that we were playing there, but yes, we are going to be playing Mile this year. They're going to be officially announcing it in like a week or two. So
Congratulations. I mean, that's a phenomenal
Thank you.
event.
Thank you.
we played there one other time, and that was seriously such a good experience. Like the best part about Mile is how they treat the artists. Like there's a lot of perks just for being
there,
part of it.
absolutely.
You know.
Being part of the show.
Feel like a real rock star.
They
Yeah.
treat you like a real rock star.
They do.
Well, and you guys have a lot of merch. That's probably a good time for you guys to move merch. I mean, you've got that awesome hat you have on right there, and you guys have T-shirts and awesome holographic stickers that kind of highlight the colors that Illuminati's
Yes.
sort of showcasing.
Ambiance.
Yeah, we're big merch fans. That's first thing I do when I go to a show is I check the merch table. I love that stuff.
What's the
So
hot
we-
seller, Hayden?
For our merch.
Yeah.
A lot of the hats, honestly. People really like the hats, which is
They're
super
really
cool.
nice hats.
Yeah, it's
The trucker hats, yeah. like-
Showcase the head a little bit.
This one is actually not in production anymore. We might have to get some more
a
made.
2021 model.
Yes, this is it.
2023 just came out.
I ended up keeping one in every color so I can accessorize at shows.
Ooh,
But
you got to match.
Who does the logos and stuff? You've got like a spaceman logo that's pretty cool.
yep, I do
all
all
right?
the logos and stuff.
Yeah.
I do most of the graphic design stuff, but then my wife really helps after I've created everything. She's the only one I really trust to do like posters and stuff for Luma, because I'm very meticulous about what I want and the color scheme and things like that, and she's the only one that gets me. But she helps with like all the graphics and all the animation stuff you see on the Instagram page and Facebook and all that stuff.
really cool.
She puts all that stuff together for us, as well as helping us book all these shows. Like so,
Also, like updating the calendars for everyone. So yeah, she's on top of it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
yeah, she
We'd literally
Sarah.
be four dudes sitting in a basement if it weren't for Sarah. Like
she loves
Thank you, Sarah.
organizing things. So
she's good at it.
There's a lot of moving parts, and it's not just recording albums. Like you said, it's keeping the website updated. It's coming out with new videos, new things to kind of keep people interested, and it's kind of
we all know where to be, what time to be there. It's
we live in a world where people forget you very quickly if you're not always doing something, always giving them something new to consume. You know, like just like keeping up with all that and just like creating content and things to keep people interested, you know, like it's definitely a lot of work. Like it's continuous.
You guys played Farmapalooza. Was that last week?
Mm-hmm.
How was that experience?
That was the night before Electric City.
Yes. So like we at least got to jam a festival the night before Electric City, and Farmapalooza was actually an unexpected surprise, I guess, because it's out on some dude's land on the outskirts of
Everybody's
Kakana.
dream. Everybody's talked to their buddies about, like, we should buy a farm and put a stage out back and we could throw fest, and this guy actually did it.
Yeah.
It's super
If
cool.
you build it, they will come.
If you build it, they will come.
But yeah, they had a huge tent out there, like a big stage, big production, lights. Everybody was camping out there. They had a schnitzel truck.
Yeah, schnitzel was really good.
Yeah.
They had a food truck, but it was primarily schnitzel. So
And I love schnitzel.
Do love a good schnitzel.
So those back-to-back shows, did you bother wiping down your equipment in between that and the Electric City, or just throw it in the car and pull it out
it's
the next
usually
day?
it goes by like whatever that block of shows is like for the week. Like you really don't get to clean up the gear until like maybe Monday comes by.
We go to set the studio back up.
And some venues and stages are worse than others. You get to some places where it's outdoor and like it's like there's like dust coming up everywhere. So, or other venues where there's just like beer spilled all over the floor, so the cables are all covered in
Feels like a movie
spilled
theater
beer. Yeah, like
So there's more cleanup associated with that.
you've got to wash cables. It's
It's not the most fun part about being in a band, I'll tell you that.
the thing about being in a band is people don't realize how many cables that you have to have.
So many. There's so many cables.
We have mic cables, we have DMX cables, instrument cables, like any kind of cable you can imagine. We have it.
Cables that go to the lighting that match up with the music.
Yeah, yeah.
Ryan, you've got a pretty sweet Jasper guitar. Can you tell me a little bit about that Jasper guitar?
Yes, like Jasper Guitars, if you don't know, like there's this really incredible luthier in Green Bay. His name is Tony. He has a music store called Luthier's Workshop, but he builds boutique guitars. I guess he worked for Taylor a really long time ago, so he's got a lot of experience. I think he's been a luthier for 50 years now, but he's been making these really unique pieces. Like they're like kind of retro, but with modern appointments. But a lot of the local musicians in the area are all getting wind of these Jasper guitars. So I was really lucky enough to be able to get my hands on one. Like Tony, like I came into the store for like something small. I don't remember
Always
what
how
it
it
was.
happens.
And like
new strings, here's a new guitar.
every time I came into the store, he pointed to that specific one. He's like, "This one looks like it needs to be yours." And I'm like, "It's." I have a color scheme for my gear. Like I do a lot of teals and like bright blues and like surf green and stuff like that.
This one was teal.
So I'm like, it is my color. It does match the studio even as well. So he's like, "Why don't you just take it home for a week and bring it back and then tell me what you think?"
Yep.
So yeah, he got me.
Got him.
He got me.
But it is a wonderful guitar coming from a bass player. It sounds wonderful.
Well, Aaron, they're making basses now too, I heard. Like Tony's
Yes.
got a bass. Have
Yep.
you had your chance
Really?
to get a hold of one of
no,
those?
I have not.
Tony's going to be sending one home with you soon.
So
I would love that.
I will say, Tony, you need to make a 5-string. Wink.
No, I play 4 or 5 string.
Aaron has really, really nice stuff, really nice gear.
Thank you.
You know, let's talk about your WAMI Award. You guys won a WAMI, which is congratulations. That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
You won the 2019 WAMI for, I'll just read it, it's a World Reggae and Ska Latin category.
Yes.
Did you attend or 2019? They probably, was that one moved? Was that one of
No,
the
that was
COVID?
the last.
They had
That one, I think it was in Turner Hall in Milwaukee again.
So that was right before COVID.
Yep, it was before all that
Right
that
before.
nonsense. So like it was actually kind of unexpected for us, like because it was
We
like,
didn't
only
even
our
know we were
second
in
year.
it.
We knew we were nominated, but like the bands that were all in it, like we're all just like such top-notch bands that we're like, there's no way that we're gonna win it. Like so maybe we'll go next year. And then all of a sudden, I'm just chilling at home and people start texting me and they're like, "Congratulations, bro!" And I'm like, "Okay, for what?" They're like, "You won the WAMI," and I'm like, "What? No way, we did not." But yeah, I guess we won. So then the trick was trying to track down our award. I had to be like, "Hey, we weren't there, but we won. Is there any way we can get this thing?" Because
So how does that work? Do you like order a certain amount of like a trophy for each band member, or do they just send you one?
They have options too.
I think you can get other ones made, but we just have one that we share. We have visitation rights. Like,
This week is my
Every
time
other
to have
Wednesday
it.
in-
Well, that's pretty awesome. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
We got nominated this year too.
yeah, we were nominated again this year, which was awesome. We made it to the final round. They were doing things a little different this year, where they were like, I feel like everybody kind of was putting their name into the hat and nominating themselves, but I think they're just kind of mining data, like to figure out who are all the musicians that are in the area, and then from there people would vote. And so we were lucky enough to make it to the end, but Natty Nation took it home this year, and they're well deserving. They've been around for a long time.
Yeah. Which is funny. The reason I'm here.
Yeah, being from Madison, I love Natty Nation.
Yes.
We were at stage one on Wednesday for a farmers market, and that went really good too.
That was a fun day.
Yeah, I mean, again, lots of shows you guys are playing, and Ryan, even when Luma Knotty's not playing, Ryan's playing as Ryan from Luma Knotty.
And we do a bunch of like duo shows and stuff too,
Oh,
where
right.
it's either Ross and Luis or me and Ross will go just do some little broken down acoustic stuff.
Is that kind of nice to kind of break it up like that and kind of, I
It's
guess,
a nice little change of pace, and it's cool too because those usually put you in different venues. Like we'll play at like wineries and stuff where they're not doing full band, and it's it's kind of a nice little change of pace just to keep things fresh. And
Yeah, you got to keep the wheels moving, So it's nice to be constantly repping the band, even if I'm doing a solo show. Like I'm still rocking the Luma gear and selling Luma merch, and
and it's cool. There are a lot of we'll play a lot of the same songs, but they're very different versions of those songs. So it's cool. It kind of gives it a little new life.
We twist the covers that we do. We add a little taste to it.
a little Luma spin on that.
I don't think we ever
lumify
really
it.
play them the same way twice either. We just
So, I mean, what can people expect from you guys next? You're sitting on a pile of songs that it sounds like you're expecting to put out another album in the winter.
yes.
hoping to. Yeah.
I mean, and you've got a full schedule. You can find the full schedule on your website. You'd
Yep.
be amazed at all of. But don't wait, because summer's going to go fast.
It's already
absolutely.
almost July. It's kind of crazy.
It's super
And
crazy.
you mentioned Mile of Music, so people can catch you at Mile of Music this year.
Well,
what else do you have in the hopper?
interesting event we're doing next weekend is we're doing something called the World Naked Bike Ride.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to ask you about that.
Oh, we did it. Was that 2 years ago?
That was last year, yeah.
It's
Are you just
Very
playing
fun
and
event.
people are spiking past you naked?
Well, it's
first they're hanging out naked,
Yes.
and then they bike naked.
yeah. So like it's an all-day event. So like we didn't know what to expect last year, So
You didn't know what to expect.
we did. I mean,
It says it right in the name, but you still don't know. It's
You don't know until
I
you
mean,
get there.
like, you're still curious about like how it's actually going to go down, and like so, like of course we show up and we start setting up the PA, and at first it was raining a little bit, so like everybody still had clothes on when we got there, and like within like 30 minutes, you start seeing your first naked person walk by, and you're like, well, that was weird. It's like, did I just see a Sasquatch in the middle of the wilderness? I don't know, like. And then, like, eventually, once people, like, it was a gateway to everybody else being naked. We did not play naked, by the way. I'm just going to preface that. Like,
we were all looking down while playing too.
no, I've never made more eye contact in my life than I did that day. I'll tell you what. I was like, I'm looking right at you, bro. Yeah.
So when and where was that taking place?
This is going to be in Milwaukee on the 24th. So, like, it has I guess you could call it a peaceful protest because it's to promote body positivity, and it's basically their slogan is less gas, more ass.
Love it.
Because they want people biking and not, using petrol.
I don't know, but put it on a T-shirt.
They did. That was on the T-shirt last year.
Buying merch.
Unfortunately, I won't be there. I have my sister's graduation that day.
Aaron, what's more important?
Come on, Aaron.
Well, I think that's a good spot to end. I want to thank you guys for doing the show, and looking forward to catching you guys this summer. Welcome back anytime, Hayden. It was good to see you again.
Absolutely, man. Thanks
for
having us.
You were here recently with Crucial Moves.
Yeah, it's always a fun time to be here.